Hi everyone, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Anna, and you're listening to We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, a podcast hosted by us, a married couple with an endless love for TV.
Whether you're looking for a new show to binge or wanting to revisit an old classic, let us be your guide through the infinite list of TV shows.
So come join us every Friday as we discuss the pilot for a TV show while also sharing personal stories that parallel the storylines.
We Judge a Show by Its Pilot, where your new favorite show is just one click away. Hello everyone, welcome back to our pod.
Hello, how is it going?
It's going pretty good.
It's hot.
It's hot.
It's still hot.
Yeah, that hasn't changed. Probably not going to change for a couple months. It'll cool down at night, but yeah, it's still like 90 degrees, 95 degrees outside. I don't think that's going anywhere. It's Louisiana.
Yeah.
But you've had a pretty busy day.
Very busy the past couple of days.
This is kind of your first time of the day where you kind of get a break and you're using it to record, so I really appreciate it.
I know it's getting hard. It was getting hard, and booking my work travel, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
So my boo is getting ready to not see me a whole lot starting next week until mid-October.
Yeah.
So I love you. I'm gonna miss you.
We'll still see each other.
Yes. I'm actually trying to really condense trips.
Yeah.
Probably will make my boss happy, but also you and I happy, where like if I finish at like 2 or 3 o'clock, sometimes I will just go ahead and stay and then go out the next day.
Yeah.
Instead of taking a late night flight. But I'm landing back in Baton Rouge for a lot of these, so I don't mind coming back late because it's truly, by that point, only like a 25-minute drive home as opposed to like a 90-minute from New Orleans. So it's not too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm cutting a couple of trips short. I'll get home late, but at least I'll be home a whole extra day the next day.
Well, I'm glad for that. And we still see each other. You're usually gone like at the first half of the week, and then you're home the second half of the week. That's usually how it goes.
But what's hard is that's when we usually record the pod.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah, but we've kind of figured out a schedule.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to our Red Shoe Diaries episode, we recorded it last night, so I haven't like edited it. I haven't even like listened to it yet, but
we got a little crazy.
And I really had to stop myself this time from talking in a sexy voice at the beginning of the episode. I was just like, I just decided to do that, and I don't even think we discussed kind of doing that at the beginning of the episode.
No, you just started, so I went with it. And I started talking sexy talk.
It's just funny.
I don't know what I was sounding like.
But anyway, we're doing a show that, I mean, like, even though it isn't, like, obviously a sexy show because it's about working at a hospital, there's some sexy sex going on the show. And
I think it's a sexy show. I mean, there's McDreamy and McSteamy.
I didn't watch this show. So today we are continuing our theme for the month of doing shows with colors in the title. And we are doing a show that you watched a chunk of.
Yes. Yep.
And
I watched probably at least the first 5 or 6 seasons.
Yeah. I don't know what the longest running scripted primetime television show is of all time, but I'm pretty sure that this show is in the running.
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely up there.
And it's Grey's Anatomy. If you've never heard of Grey's Anatomy,
I don't know where you've been for the past quarter of a century.
It was one of those shows for me that, like, they would play reruns, like, back when I first got cable again in, like, 2012. It would play on reruns on some channel. I don't know which channel it was. Maybe it was, like, FX or something. And I would watch it sometimes, but for the most part, I have one medical show near and dear to my heart, and it's Scrubs. And so it was just kind of, especially when it first aired, they kind of made fun of Grey's Anatomy a lot. So they made fun of that in House a lot because they were like, oh, well, we've been the hospital show since, 2000. And all these other hospital shows come in and kind of like outshine Scrubs. But yeah, so I didn't know a lot about this show other than like it was other than McDreamy, McSteamy, and that there was a lot of like bizarre medical cases on the show, and I didn't even know that this was a Shonda Rhimes show. I didn't even know that. So Yeah, so we are doing Grey's Anatomy, and we're going to get into it right now. So Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
Grey's Anatomy, A Hard Day's Night. Grey's Anatomy is an American medical drama that premiered on ABC on March 27th, 2005. The 21st season recently ended in May 2025, and the 22nd season is due to premiere in October of this year. The series currently has a total of 448 episodes. The series was created by the infamous Shonda Rhimes, best known for creating hits such as Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, Bridgerton, and most recently, The Residents. The pilot was also written by Rhimes and was directed by actor Peter Horton, who was best known for his role in 30-something.
That's so funny that's Peter Horton.
Yeah. Rhimes came up with the idea for Grey's Anatomy while thinking of a series she would personally enjoy watching. She thought it would be interesting to watch a strong, intelligent woman competing against each other in a male-dominated career field. This combined with her obsession with watching medical documentaries and surgical videos on the Discovery Channel, and Grey's Anatomy was born. Grey's Anatomy initially centers around Meredith Grey, a surgical intern at Seattle Grace Hospital. While Meredith is the central character, we are also introduced to the staff of Seattle Grace, which includes Meredith's fellow interns, nurses, residents, and attendings. The series cast includes Ellen Pompeo as Meredith Grey, a brilliant but emotionally complex surgical intern living in the shadow of her world-renowned surgeon mother, Ellis. Sandra Oh is Christina Yang, an ambitious and highly competitive surgical intern. Katherine Heigl as Izzy Stevens, a former model turned surgical intern with a mysterious past. Justin Chambers as Alex Karev, a blunt and arrogant intern who frequently has conflict with his fellow co-workers. T.R. Knight as George O'Malley, a compassionate and somewhat timid intern. Chandra Wilson as Dr. Miranda Bailey, the intern's resident surgeon who is known for being a tough but caring mentor. James Pickens Jr. as Dr. Richard Weber, head of the residency program. Isaiah Washington as Dr. Preston Burke, a brilliant and driven attending surgeon, and Patrick Dempsey as Dr. Derek Shepard, also known as McDreamy, the head of neurosurgery and Meredith's love interest. Kate Walsh, Eric Dane, and Sarah Ramirez and Kyler Lee would later join the cast and become well-known characters, particularly Kate Walsh and Eric Dane, also known as McSteamy. More recent additions to the cast include Scott Speedman and Harry Shum Jr., as well as, I think, Kate Capshaw.
Oh, really?
Wait, is that the daughter? I always forget. There's
Kate Capshaw's the actress, is the one from Space Camp.
The older one.
The one who's married to Steven.
Their daughter.
Jessica Capshaw?
That's it.
Okay.
She's also on it. Grey's Anatomy became an instant hit and has remained one of the most popular shows of the 21st century. The series became famous for its complex storylines, interesting characters, and most famously, its outrageous and often bizarre medical cases. Grey's Anatomy has been nominated for a total of 39 Primetime Emmys, winning 5 of them, including Outstanding Casting for a Drama Series, and Katherine Heigl won for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama. You can currently watch the series on Hulu and Netflix.
So, did you watch the pilot when it originally aired?
Yes, I did. I really totally remember it. It was the spring of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was being heavily advertised in Seattle because it was taking place in Seattle.
Gotcha.
And I love a good medical show, kind of like Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah.
I am always fascinated by strange medical cases.
Mm-hmm.
My mom always had lots of medical books in our house, and it was always something I would, look at to learn about different injuries or diseases. So, I love me an ER, Chicago Hope. All of those were kind of on the tail end of their lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt this would be a fun new show to watch. Yeah. And I think I knew Patrick Dempsey was going to be in it, and
Gotcha.
always love watching, a good Patrick Dempsey movie.
Oh, yeah.
TV show.
Yeah. Outbreak.
Oh yeah.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't Buy Me Love.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know about this show when it originally started.
Oh.
So when the show originally started, just the kind of the time of year, that would have been March 2005. Yeah, I was still living in Louisiana. I hadn't really heard of this show before. And I didn't hear about this show. This is going to be really random. I didn't hear about this show until the Clerks 2 DVD came out. And there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And there was this whole thing about the making of Clerks 2.
Okay.
Super random, I know. And this was maybe about 2 years after the show, less than that, 2 years after the show started. And they were talking about all the actresses that they had auditioned to play the role of Becky, who was going to be the love interest for Dante in Clerks 2. And they talked about all these different actresses that they considered. They talked about like Bryce Dallas Howard, which was really random because she was a big Kevin Smith fan. And then they talked about Ellen Pompeo, who was like going to play that role. Like they had like cast her to play that role. But then she was like, well, I got picked up for this pilot, so I don't think I'm going to be, I think it's going to conflict with my schedule. And she was like, they're saying that this show is going to be a really big hit. And so, Scott Moser is kind of talking about it. He was like, yeah, apparently they thought it was going to be a big hit. And by that point, Grey's Anatomy was a huge hit. And so he was like, turns out she was right, and it was only like maybe after the first season or something like that. It was fairly new at that point. And I never even heard. Rosario Dawson ended up getting the role. It was perfect for her. That's not what this podcast is about. But that was the first time I ever heard of Grey's Anatomy, and the first time I ever heard who Ellen Pompeo was.
Yeah.
Because I knew she was on episodes of Law and Order, but I just knew her. I didn't know her name. I just knew her from Law and Order. And so I remember like looking it up, and I saw like Sandra Oh was in it. I'm like, oh, she was in Sideways, and Katherine Heigl, who had just done Knocked Up. Like, it was all these actors and actresses who, like, I was very familiar with. I had no idea that they were on the show. And it may be a good, like, 5 years later until I even watched an episode.
Oh, wow.
And it was when, like I said, it was when I first got cable, and they would start showing reruns on some cable channel. And I started watching. They played, like, a marathon, and I watched some episodes. I watched the episode where the kid did a dare and he sat in like a pool of wet cement and got stuck.
Oh yeah. I remember. Yeah.
Because he was trying to impress a girl.
Yes.
And I was just like, this show is insane. And then there was another, and I might be mixing up shows because there was just a period where I was watching a lot of TV and they all kind of ran together. But I'm pretty sure that there was an episode where it was two EMTs had gotten into an accident, and he was with his partner, who he was a white guy, she was a black woman, and he was a former Nazi, like a former like racist, like white supremacist, and he had they wanted him to like remove all of his stuff, and he was just like, I don't want her to see this because she's like my best friend. Like, it was just kind of this whole thing.
It, like,
so
bad tattoos.
It was like swastikas and stuff.
Yeah.
And he didn't want her to see it because he was just like, I'm reformed. She's like my best friend. Like, I don't want her to have that image of me. And it was just like that episode was really, I really enjoyed it. And then I remember continuing to watch it, and immediately and eventually being like, this is a soap opera. I was just like, this isn't.
It was totally soap opera.
And I didn't know what was going on because I kind of came into the middle of it. So it was just like, I didn't really know what was going on. So I was just kind of like, I don't think I'm going to get into this. And so I just never watched it again. And that was that. But it was certainly a show that, I mean, I get served reels of stuff from Grey's Anatomy all the time on my Instagram. And it is some random stuff that happened on that show. So what was it about the show that kept you watching? Was it just like the medical cases? Was it
It was a lot. I think Shonda Rhimes really did a good job in making their relationship seem believable and plausible. It was like, I mean, first off, I obviously have not gone to medical school. So this is like when they're first doing their residency.
Yeah.
So like right after, I think, medical school. And so, I knew people like Angela who had gone to medical school. So for me, that's always interesting, just careers that I'm not in. So to learn more about. But it was just interesting to see the competitiveness. I mean, in that first episode, you'll talk about it. There's like, they're all wanting to do the first surgery. I'm like, it's your first day. You're going to probably have lots of opportunities, but it was like immediate out of the gate. So I liked that. I like competitiveness, particularly with women. There were the three main women, Izzy, Meredith, and Sandra Oh's character, Christina, that were all being competitive. So that was good. But I felt like it seemed like that could be really happening. Yeah. And like, that's what really like a medical residency was like. Yeah. And I can get behind something like that easier than something that seems really not plausible. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I liked it. And plus it was taking place in Seattle. I was living in Seattle. So I always feel a little sort of nostalgic to watching shows that are taking place where I lived, where I know, things like that.
Yeah, I love it. All right. So with any workplace, with any show about the workplace, there is going to be work hookups. There's going to be coworkers hooking up with each other. It's inevitable. It happens on every workplace show you'll ever watch, whether it's a hospital, lawyers, whatever, a supermarket, superstore. So my question for you is, I don't know if we've ever really talked about this before. Like, not just, I don't mean on the pod. I mean, like, in life. Maybe. Okay. Which is a great way to start the pod. Is to have a conversation. I learned a very graphic story about you for the first time ever on Red Shoe Diaries. I've been making jokes about it ever since. I even had to make sure, this is a little off topic, I even had to make sure that I wasn't like making you mad or upset that I was making jokes about it. But you were like, it's fine, it's funny. I'm not going to do it in front of people.
It's a strange subject, and I don't know if I would say it's embarrassing to talk about, because I'm not very embarrassed about talking about sex, really, but it was something that I had never really talked to you about. I had talked about that person to you, but not really about details.
Yeah, and the habit that you and I get is we just kind of like to pile on until
we just laugh about it.
Until we laugh about it. All right, so sidetracked, sorry. Have you ever hooked up, and this is a conversation I don't think you and I have ever had, have you ever hooked up with a coworker before? You don't have to give names or locations
as you know, I'm a big believer in like not dipping the pen in the company ink. I mean, that was mostly professional side. So since like college graduation, the answer to that is no. Like I've never hooked up with anyone, particularly while I was teaching, while I worked at the law firm, and since I have worked for the company I work for right now. So from the age of around 22 and on, no. High school jobs, yes. Yeah. So there were a couple of guys that I had hooked up with from Chuck E. Cheese that, became the kind of the high school drama love triangle kind of, things that TV shows and movies are made out of. But yes, I have. And that was, I think, really the only job that I think I've ever hooked up. I mean, I don't think I've worked at a lot of jobs where there were a lot of people worthy of hooking up with.
And also like the opportunity.
Correct. Yeah. Like I worked at the Greek store during college. I worked at the campus lobby desk. Again, not a lot of places where there were the opportunity to do so. But yes, at Chuck E. Cheese, I hooked up with two guys, not at the same time, at different times. But it was crazy because they were friends. But it wasn't really part of a love triangle, because I think you're about to ask that. Yeah. And there is a story to that. Yeah. So I can answer that question separately. Okay. But what about yourself? Okay. I think this is yes.
I've worked in the restaurant industry for most of my working career, which is just a hotbed of coworker, commingling, hookups. of different levels and variations. I actually didn't have a relationship with a coworker until, like, I mean, in my mind, it was way later in my restaurant career, but I was actually probably like 20. It was a girl that I worked with, and she was a server, I was a cook, and I had just become single after about like a long-term relationship from high school that had just ended, and
But
what?
you didn't have a. But didn't y'all work together?
Who?
You and S.
No, we went to high school together.
But y'all didn't ever work at like Baskin Robbins?
Yeah, but we were already together.
Okay, so you don't consider that hooking up?
No,
You just
because
mean
we were
strictly,
a pre-existing relationship. We went in with the pre-existing relationship.
Okay, so you don't count that. Okay,
No,
this is
I mean
strictly
technically, then yes, I did. I hooked up with a coworker that I was already in a relationship
okay.
with. I mean, if you want to count that, sure. Yeah, we worked at Baskin Robbins together.
Okay.
We didn't really work together a lot though. The owner was kind of like knew that we were a couple, and he kind of separated us a lot. Which I was fine with. I'm sure she was fine with that too. But the actual time where I got into a relationship with a coworker that I had like been friends with, that I like built a friendship with before, up until that moment, I had just become single. It was the first time I'd been single since I was like 17, and so I was like, I hate saying on the prowl, but I was like just wanting to go experience life, because I felt like, even though I was super young, I felt like I had spent so many years in a specific age range. I was in a relationship where I felt like I should have been single from age 17 to 20. I feel like I didn't go to college. Like, I didn't have that. I mean, I went to BRCC, but like I didn't go to like full on college. I wasn't like a full-time student. I didn't have like a college experience like a lot of other people my age had already had. And I felt like I was missing out. And so I really just wanted to kind of rejoin the living in a way that like I wanted to enjoy being, at this point, I was like 2 months away from turning 21.
Oh, yeah.
I was like ready to experience life. I was ready to go out. I was ready to do stuff. And I had a really long time crush on this girl that I worked with. And I didn't really think much of it until right before I became single. She had said to someone that if I were single, she would go for me. And so I'm not going to lie, that was maybe partially of why I pushed the breakup between me and S, because even though she technically broke up with me, I was like, okay. I was like, I mean, we're kids. I
Kind
mean,
of like Daryl and Kelly on The Office. All right.
And so we continued being friends, but then we very shortly started hooking up. We continued to work together, and that was my first real experience with dating a coworker, like that we met at work, that
Gotcha.
we did all of that. And I'm not gonna lie, it grew to suck. Like, it grew to everyone knowing the thing that I love so much about like that being separate is I get to go to work, and like my work life is my work life, and then I come home and my home life is my home life. I don't bring my personal shit to work. I don't like take it out on anyone. And what I really enjoy about going to work is not everyone knowing everything about me and everything about what's going on in my personal life, which is what is not the case when you're dating a coworker. Suddenly everyone knows all your personal stuff. Everyone knows the status of your relationship. It sucks. Like, I'm not saying don't date a coworker. If you're attracted to your coworker, go for it. I mean, like, why not? But like, personally, that should have been my precursor or my lesson with don't date a coworker.
Yeah.
But if I didn't date another coworker, Maddie wouldn't be here. So
Correct.
So when I moved to Florida, and then I'm skipping one because that is a love triangle story. So I'm going to skip that for our next section of this.
Okay.
I started dating Jamie, who's my ex-wife, who is Maddie's mother. We met when we worked at Hard Rock Cafe. Unfortunately, I have hooked up with a few coworkers over the years, just because like working in a restaurant, that is so much of your social outlet, and so and that they also kind of become like at a certain
your
age,
friend group.
They become your friend group when you're like in your early mid-20s. But every time I dated a coworker, it would always end with me going, I need to stop dating my coworkers. Like, I need to stop doing this. And when I finally did, the final time I did, it was about a year before you and I met. It was about a year and a half before we met, and it was right after Mary Jo died, and so I was not right after, but it was after Mary Jo died, and I had kind of jumped into something with someone because I was so like lonely and depressed, and that ended up like flaming out big time, a huge disaster. Not her fault, not my fault, just it shouldn't have happened, and it's my fault. And so when I got with her, and I think I talked about this on the pod before, but when I got with her, I was like, look, I've been through a lot. I really like you, but I've been through a lot. Right now, I'm not really interested in like a casual thing. I was like, if you're for real and you really want to be in a relationship, like I'm down. But like, if you just want to be casual and keep things light, I'm fine with that too, but like, just let me know what you want to do. And she was just like, I really like you. I want to be in a relationship with you. I want to take this seriously. And so I'm like, okay. I was like, cool. I'm glad we talked about this. You know, I'm just like, I'm glad that I, for once, was like, let's communicate with each other, you know? And I was like, oh, I'm finally being mature. And she ended up breaking up with me via text message like less than 2 months later. So it was like, it was one of those where I was just like, and then that was the moment. Because then after I told her all this, after I opened up in a way that I had not opened up to anyone about all the Mary Jo stuff, about all the things that I went through and all the things I'm currently going through, which is very, very, very personal. And it's stuff that I've only talked to maybe 4 or 5 people about ever in the last 12 years. And she just broke up with me via text message. So I was like, okay, I am never dating a coworker ever again. And I never did. So that was it. I was like, I'm never doing this again. That was 10 years ago. So
yay.
Yeah. I'm not saying don't date your coworker, like I said, but I don't strongly recommend it. All right. So I alluded to this a second ago, and you brought it up a second ago too. Have you ever been, another thing the show is famous for, love triangles. In any drama, there's going to be love triangles because that makes everything more interesting. So have you ever been in a love triangle? Like a legit love triangle?
No. So I do have stories of kind of why I made the choice of like really being conscious about it. So for me, the experience started really early in high school. Mm-hmm. I was dating a guy. He went to a Catholic boys' school, met him through mutual friends on the West Bank. I had not gone to any school with him, so I didn't know him previously.
Yeah.
And we went out on a couple of dates. I thought he really liked me, movies. He was doing like all the very sweet boyfriend things. Like I was really bad at math, and like I had this really big algebra test coming up. He actually brought me a little bouquet of flower lollipops and left them on the porch to wish me good luck on my algebra test.
That's really sweet.
I mean, that's a lot for like a 16-year-old guy, you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like, wow. And, you know, I was like, really like, wow, he must like really like me. Well, we had gone out, and I will not say which friend, because I don't think she listens to the pod, but so we had gone to get pizza, not at Chuck E. Cheese, at another local place. And one of my good friends worked at that pizza place, and I introduced them. Well, unbeknownst to me, later, like the next week or weekend, we weren't going out. Something, I don't know why, we just didn't go out all the time. He actually went to that pizza place to go and see her.
Uh-oh.
And it was a big lesson in the fact that I think she was like really like felt like special that he had gone up there to meet her. And she actually accepted a date out with him. So it really made me at the time, and I was like all of 16 years old, or maybe 17 by then, because it was around the end of junior year. I was like, you know what? Go her. Like, if she wants to go out with him, let her have it. I don't have to have that, though. I don't have to be treated that way. And for me, the lesson was like, I would never want to date a guy like that was like actually dating my friend and then coming and sneaking over here. Now, She did, because they ended up going out for like a little while, and then I'm sure he found some other cute girl to like and go ask out. But that was my first real lesson in there wasn't a guy worth enough to me that if they were looking at someone else, that I think I would really stand for that. Like, I just felt like, gosh, and she is beautiful. Like, I love her to death. We're still friends to this day, but I wasn't going to like go out with a guy. College, I was probably hooking up with a guy or two that was probably seeing girls also that I knew. But again, we talked about that with friends with benefits. None of those were ever really like I ever felt like a relationship. So, and then the other one was I was dating a guy in college, and kind of funny because it's the exact same name as the one in high school, but different people. He liked a friend of mine and thought she was really pretty, and I could tell he was like really interested in her, and I was like, do you want to go out with her? Like, I could introduce y'all. And they ended up going out for a little while and inevitably broke up. But I'm definitely of a person who, if you don't want to be with me singularly, like, go and be free and do what you want. I just don't have to be part of that.
Gotcha.
So those were my lessons in love triangles. I'm not going to fight to be either first or second. I want to be first at all times.
Have you ever been, I got one for you because this one, I have one for me. I was super young, but have you ever been in a love triangle and you had no idea you were in a love triangle? Like, two guys liked you and were kind of like not fighting over you, but they were like, you just weren't aware that you were in a love triangle.
Well, I did hear later, and this is what's funny, like, about things about Facebook and reconnecting with people like later in life, was that, like, I don't know if you heard a lot of things like this when you got back on Facebook. And again, it might have been different because I did go to college and met a lot more people that, I wouldn't have really known. But I heard a lot of, oh my gosh, I wanted to ask you out. I so wanted to ask you out. But one of the stories that I did hear was I had gone out with this one guy to a fraternity party, just totally like platonic. He just needed a date. I was single and I went to this party with him. And like the next year, a new guy in his fraternity was like, who's that? And he was like, oh, that's Anna. And, she's an AOPI. And he's like, well, she's really cute. And apparently he told that guy, well, that like, I wouldn't be interested in him. So he sort of like,
gotcha,
cock blocked me or whatever you call it, and didn't let this one guy ask me out. And I don't know if that was just because he was jealous because we never went out, but it doesn't, you hear that story and you're like, is that really true?
Right.
Did you really so I don't know, but I don't think so. I don't think guys were fighting over me or maybe they were and I just didn't know it because you just didn't, I don't know. I don't know how I would have known that.
So the one kind of, love triangle that I was unaware that I was in was I was super young. I was probably like I'm probably like 14 at this point in time. So we're really young, and I think I've talked about this before. Every summer, from about age, I think it was about age 11 or 12 to age 15. Every summer I did the theater program at Baton Rouge Theater. It was basically just like theater day camp. That's essentially what it was.
Yeah, we all had that.
And so I did that. It was some of my favorite memories I've ever had. And one of the years that I did it, this was the year that I was like, the first year that I came to do theater camp, and I was like pubescent. I had like my voice had dropped. Like I was, you
were looking cute.
I was probably looking cute, and
Kind of like right now.
And there's absolutely no way I look cute right now. I have bedhead, and I'm still in my PJs. And it's like it's 3:00 in the afternoon. Anyway, so I kind of made like this little group of friends. And because this was kind of a year where a lot of the kids from last year didn't show up, and it was like a whole bunch of new kids. And so it was kind of like, oh, cool. And I was also not like the baby anymore. So it was like, okay, I'm starting to become like one of the older kids now. So I kind of became friends with this little group of people. We were all really good friends. And two of the girls in the group liked me. And I was completely unaware that either one of them liked me. And
okay.
Because I think I had a girlfriend at the time, maybe, or I just wasn't paying attention to it, or I just was in that mode to where, like, getting girls just wasn't a thing for me yet, so, like, it just wasn't something that was on my mind. I was always, like, the baby, the little brother, the friend. I like you as a friend. You're like my brother. I heard that a whole lot up until this point, and, what?
No, I was just going to say, I don't think I ever heard that from a guy to me though, but that's funny because I do think that's like a girl thing to say to boys. But
I mean, I was their friend. Like they called me. The cute girls in my class called me when like they were mad at a boy that they liked, and they wanted my advice because I was a boy. Like that was my role up until I was like 14 or 15. And there were these two girls, and I'll never forget it. We were sitting kind of in the RIP Baton Rouge Little Theater. There's the second stage, which is where we did our theater camp. And there was like this little waiting area that had all these like couches and stuff. And that's where we would hang out backstage when we weren't on scene. Like that was kind of when we weren't on stage. And I remember there was like a group of us, and we weren't performing yet. We were doing like rehearsals, and maybe it was like during our lunch break. But in the waiting room, like or in the green room, whatever you want to call it, we were all kind of hanging out, and the two girls started arguing with each other, and so then they went into the bathroom. I'll never forget it because it was one of the hardest I ever laughed, but I had no idea what was going on in the bathroom. So they were fighting with each other. So Lauren Regner, if you're listening, I never forgot this moment. She's the sister of Shelley Regner, who is one of the Bellas in Pitch Perfect.
Yes.
And she's one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. Like, she is fucking hilarious, and she posts stuff on Instagram and Facebook all the time. She's still really funny, so she never lost that. And Superstar was the really big movie at the time. Just I'm setting it up. And she kind of goes into the bathroom. I have a clear view of it from where I'm sitting because the bathroom was like in a hallway. And I see Lauren like walk into the bathroom being like, y'all are being loud. Like we can hear you, but they like slam the door in her face. And then so she did the thing that Mary Catherine Gallagher does in Superstar where she keeps yelling, "You're horrible" at her grandmother and slamming the door. And so she started doing that to them. And we're all, you're horrible. And then slams the door, opens it back up. You're horrible. Then slams the, like, we were dying laughing at her doing this, having no idea what they were talking about. And so Lauren like walks away and she looks at me, she sees me laughing. She's like, "You're laughing. They're fighting over you right now." And I'm just like, what? I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then every other person in the group is like, "Jeff, they both like you." And I'm just like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, they're fighting over me. I've never even said if I liked either one of them. So it's like and that was just what was so interesting to me of a love triangle, where it's like you have these two people. Most of the time you have two people fighting over this one person in a love triangle. And do they ever stop and think, like, do they even like me? Like, are they even interested in me? Because I ended up dating one of them for the normal high school length, like a month or two or something like that. And we remained friends. Like, we all remained friends throughout high school. Everything was fine, but that was my first time being a part of a love triangle that I had no idea I was in.
Yeah.
And that was when it was like, instead of like y'all fighting over each other, why didn't y'all just like come to me and be like, "Do you like one of us?" I don't know if I would have liked being put on the spot like that. But...
And that's what's just so funny about it is like, you can like someone and they might not even like you.
Right.
So why are you even arguing in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and I've been in like some like technical love triangles, but I don't think they're worth noting. I just think that was always one of my favorite stories because it's accompanied with one of the hardest times I've ever laughed. So I've always remembered that. There was another time where I was in a love triangle with my friend Blake, but that was so brief that it was like we never like stopped being friends. So it was just kind of like I didn't really consider it a love triangle, even though technically it was. Like he was dating a girl, and we all three worked together at Applebee's, and he really liked her. And then they started dating, and this was kind of during the era where I was living at my mom's house, just me by myself while she was traveling. And I had friends that would come over all the time, and they started coming over, and I started getting to know her more. And I was like, oh, wow, she's really cool. She's really cool. Like, Blake, like that's a cool girl. Like, good job. And he was really into her. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if she did something or said something, but it was like all of a sudden he just was like not into her anymore.
Oh.
But they were still dating. So they would come over, and he would like, he would essentially like leave her at my house. Like he wouldn't even, I'm sorry, Blake, I'm selling you out. But it was like, I think it only happened one time. I think she had a car or something like that. But it wasn't like she was like stranded or anything. But it was like he went to go hang out with his friends, and then some other people stayed behind at my house, and she stayed behind, and then everyone left, and then she stayed, and it was just us two. And then technically she cheated on Blake with me that night.
She smooched you?
Yeah. And
or more.
That following night, she broke up with Blake. And then right after that, I went up to Blake. I'm like, look, I told him what happened. I was not going to lose my best friend. Because Blake was like my best friend at the time.
Yeah.
He still is one of my best friends. But he was someone that I hung out with like every day.
Well, yeah.
And so we worked together. So I was like, look, this is what happened. If you're not okay with it, I will not continue it. I wasn't even sure if I wanted. I told him, I was like, I don't even know if I want to pursue this at all because I feel so bad. He was like, look, we were together for like a month, man. Like it's okay. Like you can date her. He wasn't like, watch out because she's this. Because Blake's not like that. He was just like, she's really cool. We just weren't compatible. He was like, and he felt that before. Like, so I was like, okay. And that was probably my first like real love triangle. But just because that's literally what it was. But I don't think I've ever been in like I don't think a lot of people are in the type of love triangles that are portrayed on TV shows.
Well, right, because I mean, that love triangle was pretty much over within about the time it happened to when you talked to Blake.
Right.
It wasn't like this continuous like soap opera-ish event. Yeah. And that's what I kind of mean, where when high school guy obviously became attracted to my friend, I was like, okay, y'all go, love, prosper. I will find someone else. And
go with God.
Yeah. And yeah. So I just am like, I'm not part of the drama.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right.
I had other questions, but we can save those for other episodes.
Yeah.
I figured we were going to talk about that for a little bit. All right. So let's get into this plot summary.
Let's do it.
Okay. The laptop's a lot closer than he normally is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Grey's Anatomy pilot summary. Meredith Grey wakes up in her home after a one-night stand with a stranger who is asleep on her living room floor and naked. Do we see butt? I know it's network television.
So.
I know it's network television. Sorry, still in Red Shoe Diaries mode. I'm just assuming there was butt.
There might have been.
He wakes up, and after some small talk, Meredith dismisses him, saying that this was a one-time thing. He introduces himself. His name is Derek, and introduces herself. Already said her name is Meredith. She goes to take a shower and hints that Derek should leave by the time she's done. Later that day, Meredith attends her first day as a surgical intern at Seattle Grace Hospital, one of the top surgical sites in the country. Meredith has been assigned to be trained by resident Dr. Bailey, who has the nickname the Nazi. That's not when you don't get a Yahtzee, because they can.
Oh my God.
That's a no on Nazi. Meredith meets the other interns in her group. Christina, a competitive intern that Meredith immediately bonds with. George, a nervous young man who looks very overwhelmed. And Isabel, or Izzy, a former model that mostly keeps to herself. And this is just for the pilot. I'm sure Izzy doesn't keep to herself the entire time.
Oh, no.
This is just like for the pilot. The four meet Dr. Bailey, who is a woman about 5 feet tall and not at all what they picture, but soon realize why she is called the Nazi. She's not a trainer, she's a dictator. After a short tour of the hospital and giving some advice, Bailey gives her interns their assignments for the day. Christina is in labs, George is doing workups, which is basically like what like a medical assistant does. It's basically like getting their vitals, maybe trying to get like a feel for what might be wrong with them, not like an official diagnosis, but just kind of getting their vitals and getting all their information and stuff. Izzy is giving patients rectal exams, most likely a small punishment because she was kind of trying to kiss up to Dr. Bailey in the first scene, and it backfired. And Meredith is assigned to get a CT scan for Katie Bryce, a teenage patient who just arrived via helicopter and is having seizures for unknown reasons. George connects with an older male patient but is deflated when he gets nervous to perform a simple procedure on a patient. He is interrupted by attended surgeon, Dr. Burke, who takes over and dismisses George. Meredith is struggling with Katie. She is transporting Katie to get a CT scan, but Katie insists that they're lost and won't stop talking about how she's missing a pageant. Katie also mentions that her talent is rhythmic gymnastics, and she's great at it other than a recent fall she had. This will be important later.
Yep.
So is rhythmic gymnastics like the ribbon stuff? Is that like the ribbon dancing? Or is rhythmic gymnastics just like dance gymnastics?
There's rhythmic and artistic.
Okay.
And I think rhythmic is the one where they do like the beam and stuff.
Got it. Final Destination
Art
5.
is like the ribbons.
That's
and,
what I'm thinking of. Okay.
I think, yes. Because if she fell, then she had to...
I was thinking she was on like the uneven bars or the pommel, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I'm not a gymnast.
The vault or the balance beam.
I was about to say, I don't know anything about gymnastics other than watching it on TV. George and Izzy are taking a little break and discussing how Bailey and Burke already hate them and they're only 7 hours into their 48-hour shift. Christina interrupts and asks them if they knew that Meredith's mother is Ellis Gray, a famous surgeon who has published many books and was a pioneer for women in medicine. They did not know this. They begin to discuss this, but are interrupted by Meredith, who needs to vent about Katie. A little later, Meredith is confronted by Katie's parents, who have questions about her upcoming surgery. The inexperienced Meredith explains to them that she isn't her doctor and will get Dr. Burke. Burke tells Meredith that another attending surgeon has taken over the case, Dr. Shepard.
But
when Meredith finally tracks down Dr. Shepard, who is it? Derek, her one-night stand.
Oh, yeah.
They look at each other, we're like, I've seen you naked. Burke chooses George to assist in a surgery. The other interns watch in the, is it called the gallery? I never really know what to call it.
Yeah, I think
it's like the observing.
Where they can all stand and
observatory,
look.
Yeah. So they all kind of stand and watch like above them. George shows that he has the skills of a great surgeon, but has a tendency to buckle under pressure. The surgery goes perfectly until George accidentally pulls the purse strings too hard, and they break, causing bleeding. When Burke asks George what to do next, he freezes. Burke takes over and dismisses George. George now has earned the nickname 007, meaning license to kill, which is pretty clever. Also, underrated Bond movie. Meredith witnesses another intern outside of her group, Alex, confidently making calls, talking down to the nurses, and not going to his resident for confirmation on medications for a patient. He orders the nurse to give the patient antibiotics because she has pneumonia. Meredith interjects, saying it might not be pneumonia, and Alex refers to her as a nurse, and before she can stand up for herself, she gets a 911 page from Katie. Meredith rushes to Katie's hospital room and sees that she's having a seizure. The other nurses ask Meredith what they should do, but she freezes up when Katie flatlines. The other nurses ask Katie what they should do, but she freezes up. But when Katie flatlines, Meredith jumps into action and gives her the paddles. If you don't know what the paddles are, that's the clear, that thing.
For the chest.
Yeah. Meredith revives Katie just as Shepard walks into the room and orders Meredith to leave. Bailey begins to lecture Meredith on waiting for a resident or attending, but Meredith keeps walking, ignoring her. Christina follows Meredith out the hospital, and she vomits from being overwhelmed. Meredith confesses to Christina that she and Dr. Shepard slept together the night before. So that part kind of pissed me off because she kept saying, like, have you paged Bailey and Shepard? And they're like, yes, they're not here yet. So it's like, well, she flatlined. What do you want me to do? Like, at this point, I am the highest ranking person in this room, even though it's my first day. Which, like, I think medical interns, they get really, like, overworked and you're in the care of people who are, quite frankly, underqualified. So it's just like, yeah, she should have waited, but, like, Katie would have died. So it's just kind of like, well, what do you do?
Right.
Dr. Shepard and Bailey gather all the interns. They've decided to give the interns an assignment. Try to figure out what is causing Katie's seizures. Whoever correctly figures it out will assist Dr. Shepard in a surgery. I'm sure that happens in real life.
Right.
Christina asks Meredith to team up with her. 2 heads are better than 1. Meredith agrees and assures Christina that she will assist in the surgery so she doesn't have to spend more time with Dr. Shepard. So Meredith says, if we figure this out, you, Christina, can assist with the surgery. I was using a lot of pronouns. I wasn't using their names, so I just want to make that clear that that's what I meant. Christina is going to do the surgery, is going to assist in the surgery, regardless of the outcome. Christina and Meredith are truly stumped as to what is causing Katie's seizures. They begin talking about her being a pageant girl and begin to joke about her talent, not even truly knowing what rhythmic gymnastics is, kind of like what I just asked. Suddenly, Meredith realizes something. Katie told her she fell on her head during her routine. The two go to Dr. Shepard and suggest that Katie had an aneurysm, which is bleeding in the brain. The chances of this are 1 in a million, but Dr. Shepard decides to check it out, and it turns out they were right. Listen to women.
Oh, I just looked it up. Rhythmic is the one with like the ribbons and stuff. Artistic is the one on beam and vault.
So her falling is even funnier. Okay.
Well, right, because I'm like looking at this going, I mean, it says they have to be strong, flexible, and dexterous, but I don't know about if they ever like leave the floor. But anywho, cleared that up.
Thank you. Well, actually, thank you, because I was honestly going to look it up after we were done. Things get awkward when Dr. Shepard tells Meredith she will be assisting in the surgery since she is the one who figured it out. Christina is angry that Meredith didn't honor their agreement and jealous that she doesn't get to assist in the surgery. Christina lashes out, saying that Meredith only gets to assist because she slept with Dr. Shepard, which she says is in front of Izzy. So it's
lesson learned, do not confess that you just slept with like the chief doctor.
With someone that you've known for 12 hours.
Exactly.
At least do it with someone that you know, possibly someone that doesn't work with you. Meredith assists with the surgery while Christina watches. And honestly, like, I think Christina's overreacting because Meredith doesn't actually do anything.
I know, she just gets to say she was down there.
She scrubbed in, which is its own process. I was a surgical tech. I know scrubbing in is its whole thing. She got to, put on the gown. She sat there and watched and looked through a microscope at Katie's brain. She did absolutely nothing. I'm not saying Christina had no right to be mad. I'm just saying, like, what Meredith experienced, Christina experienced the same exact thing watching from the observatory, gallery, whatever it's called. I'm just saying, Christina, chill out. It's the first day, like you said. A little later, Christina apologized to Meredith for her outburst. She says a little funny line. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, I don't remember either.
Yeah, but she made a little funny line about, like, can we just skip the part? She said something about, like, she just has a temper and she lashes out and she's always sorry afterwards. The 4 interns finally finish their shift. Meredith goes to a nursing home to visit a woman. The woman turns out to be her mother, the once great surgeon who now has Alzheimer's. This scene was heart-wrenching. The acting, the performance, the music, it was just chef's kiss. It was so perfect.
It was really good.
Meredith tells her that she's not selling her house and is most likely going to get roommates to pay for it, hinting that George will be one of them since he said he wants to move out of his parents' house. So Meredith's living in her mother's house, and she had plans to sell it and kind of find her own place, but I think she realized, like, she wants to stay in that house, and in order to afford the mortgage, she's going to get, I think it's George and Izzy move into the house. Mm-hmm. And so her mother asks if Meredith is her doctor. Meredith says, no, I'm your daughter, but that she is a doctor. Her mother says she thinks she used to be a doctor, and Meredith confirms this. It was the end of episode.
It was so good because you weren't. I mean, it was just like plot twist.
Yeah,
because you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, and like I had no knowledge of this because obviously I'd never watched this episode before, but you had forgotten about it too. So
when I saw her walking up, it hit me.
Yeah,
like just I was like, I forgot about this ending.
I look over and my tenderoni is
like I am now. It was so good. It was really good.
So I know we said 400 and whatever episodes. Like I know that is like a lot to take on, and honestly, like I did not think as soon as I saw the episode number, I was like, okay, well, there's no way I'm going to want to rewatch this. Like I already committed to Melrose Place, and I've been off of that for months now. So it's like, I can't even commit to that right now, but I want to keep watching. I know the show gets ridiculous. I know it gets over the top, and probably like all these characters get married and get divorced, and they all. When I was looking up characters, I was like, this character died, this character died. I'm just like, it's like ER. I was like, good Lord. But yeah, the show is easily calling it a modern classic is almost an understatement. It's been in the zeitgeist now for 20 years.
Yeah.
For 20 years now, it's still going. It's still getting good ratings. It's still watched by many. I am always really impressed when any scripted show lasts longer than 10 seasons, let alone surpass 20 seasons.
Oh yeah.
Animated shows are easy because those characters never age. They stay the same on the page. Like, it doesn't matter. It's always like the voice actors that can't outlive the characters in animation. But with this, it's like 20 seasons going on 21. Ellen Pompeo's still in it. Chandra Wilson is still in it, and I think one of the other two doctors, either Burke or the other one, is still on the show. They're the only ones that still remain on the show, like from the original, which is very impressive. That must be. I'm going to say that must be a nice paycheck.
Well, it's like Ellen Pompeo said, when people have asked her, like, why hasn't she done anything else? She's like, why? I have a job.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm with you.
A job that she loves. A job that she clearly loves.
And obviously she probably makes bank for, so why leave what you've already know and love and are good at? So exactly. I would stay there too if I were them. Because she just came out in her, like, one of her newest, like, shows that she did. It was the Natalia Grace
thing with Mark Duplass.
Yes,
that little true crime thing that I became obsessed with for like a week. Yeah, I don't even remember the name of that. I keep wanting to say Ordinary Family, but that wasn't. That was the.
It was something like that.
That was the different one with the abducted in plain sight.
Yeah, but she doesn't do a lot of stuff because she doesn't have to. Yeah, she can hang out with her family and stuff.
All right, you think that wraps this one up?
Yeah, this was a good one.
This was a good one indeed. All right, that wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We're also on Facebook. You can leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right, for Grey's Anatomy, I have the doctor, the blood, syringe, the sleepy, X-ray, the pill, vomit, bed, the hospital. I don't know what this one is. The lab beakers, the helicopter, the house, the brain, and the last one would be the gray heart for Grey's Anatomy.
Well, yeah.
So that's it. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.